Humans are habitual creatures, and when we don't actively work against it, we naturally fall back into the habits we've previously built. The more we do something, the more established the neural circuits become in our brain, and the more automatic it becomes. Like, think about brushing our teeth. No matter where we wake up, at what time, we all get up and brush our teeth, right? This is great news for our good habits, but not so great news for our bad habits. Bad habits can just as easily, if not more easily, become reflexive for us as good habits. After lots of research and trial and error, here are my tools to break the bad habits keeping you from being your best self for good. If you're new here, hi, my name is Cadence, and I'm so happy to have you. On this channel, I share and test evidence-based health and fitness tools so we can reach our health goals together. If you tried again and again to break a bad habit and haven't been able to, you are not alone. I've been there, and it's really normal. It's our brain's fault. It is extremely difficult to break a bad habit. One reason is that a lot of bad habits happen so quickly we don't even notice that we're doing that thing until it's already done. Sometimes I'm in the middle of a working session and suddenly I look up from my phone and realize I've been messing around on TikTok for 5 minutes and had no idea I was even doing it. And it feels like there's no way to stop myself until the bad habit is already done. And then I think, oh my gosh, I can't do that anymore. I hate when I do that. I feel ashamed and disappointed, and the cycle just continues on. So here's how we're gonna fix that. We need to make a game plan to figure out which habits we want to get rid of. Personally, I could name off a ton of bad habits I have at any moment because I'm so hyper self-aware about those types of things. But if you don't have a list that comes to mind immediately, try paying a little bit more attention over the next few days and writing down things as they come to you or as you do them. Once we have that list, we're gonna put these habits into priority order. At the top, the ones that we want to break first, and at the bottom, the ones that we're okay with waiting until later to break. If you're like me and disappointed to hear that we're gonna have to do these one at a time, I'm sorry, but I promise you it'll be worth it. If we try to do too many things at once, it'll make it more difficult and less likely that we will achieve breaking any of the habits. I promise we'll come back to the other habits later once we've done the most important one first and work through them over time. First, we need to talk about some of the common suggestions for breaking habits that don't seem to work very well according to the research. If these have worked for you in the past, then that is amazing, but it seems that you are probably in the minority because research shows that for most people, these aren't effective tools. Notifications to engage in good habits or not to engage in bad habits don't seem to be effective over the long term. At first, notifications do seem to be helpful, but pretty soon they start to blend into our environment and we learn to just ignore them. Like, for example, I had screen time notifications turned on because I wanted to use TikTok and Instagram a little bit less. At the beginning, I would see the notification and be like, oh my gosh, yes, that's it for today. I'm all done. I hit my limit. It's been a few months now and I barely even notice the notification pop up, and I certainly ignore it every single time it does. Another popular thing in pop culture is for people to punish themselves when they do a bad habit to try to create a negative association with the habit and stop doing it. When I was in high school, I remember I was trying to use the word like less often, specifically because I had an Ivy League college interview and I wanted to sound professional. The way I decided I was going to do that is by keeping a hair tie on my wrist and snapping it every time I said the word like. You want to know how long that lasted? Not long. Research shows us that self-inflicted punishments aren't very effective because we are just not good at punishing ourselves. We just don't tend to follow through. If someone else is punishing us, then it can be more effective, but nobody has time for that. My next suggestion is not to restrict or put things entirely off limits. Putting things off limits makes them that much more enticing. And I have a story for this one. I'm addicted to goldfish crackers, like the little orange fish crackers. I've loved goldfish ever since I was a kid, and back when I was in high school, I would have a full gallon tub of goldfish per week to myself. Over the last few years, as I've been a little bit more focused on my health, I've realized that having 30% of my weekly calories from something that is not really nutritionally dense is probably not the best move. And I've tried to quit goldfish so many times. Every time I swore off goldfish, I would think about it constantly, and then I would just go to the store and get some and go crazy and absolutely binge. The research supports this concept. When we put things off limits completely or try to get ourselves not to think about or desire a certain thing, it makes that thing so much more enticing. And although we try to resist it, we often end up having more of that thing than we would have in the first place if we hadn't put it off limits. So I've learned the hard way that trying to eliminate foods, actions, or habits just isn't an effective way to go about it. And I've learned to actually address the root problem. So here's how it worked out for me with goldfish. 1, I realized that I was craving goldfish because I told myself I couldn't have them. And if I just removed that restriction and said I can go to the store and get them whenever I want them, it made them a lot less enticing. And 2, I was hungry. Now I'd say I have a healthy relationship with goldfish. I know I can have them whenever I want. I pick them up every couple of weeks at the store. Instead of getting that big gallon box, I get a smaller bag. And since I am now prioritizing protein in my diet, I'm just a lot less hungry and I tend to feel fuller throughout the day. So I can enjoy the goldfish as a snack rather than sitting down and eating 1,500 calories worth in one sitting, which is not helping me get towards my goals of healthy eating as well as physique goals. Now, the good stuff. What we can do to actually break break those bad habits backed by science. To break the neural connections for habits that we don't want to continue doing and weaken the connection between those neurons in our brain, we have to do something really counterintuitive. When we notice we're engaging in that bad habit we don't want to engage in anymore, immediately start another good habit. The good habit should be easy and quick. Here's an example of how to use this. If I find myself sitting in the gym parking lot and playing on my phone instead of getting straight out of the car and going in, what I could do then is engage in a good, positive, different habit like taking a sip of water. When we link our bad behavior to a better one, it starts to dismantle those neural circuits that have been built up to make this bad habit so reflexive, and it breaks this kind of closed loop that we've been developing over time. If we continue practicing this positive cargo where we have that positive habit when we notice we're doing the bad habit, it'll become easier for us to recognize when we're going towards a bad habit and actually stop it. This sounded silly when I first learned about it, but let me tell you, it really, really does work. You may be thinking too, if I notice myself scrolling on my phone when I should be working, why don't I just get back to work instead? And I raise you, if you could just get back to work, then we probably wouldn't be having this conversation right now. Oftentimes, it is easier for us to do another different positive habit than to actually engage in the thing that we should be doing. My next tip is more friction. Adding an additional step to our bad habits can help us to catch ourselves in the act and actually think about what we're doing rather than it being so automatic. For example, if you want to stay focused during a work session or a study session, put your phone like 5 feet away from you instead of keeping it right next to your laptop. Then you need to think, I want my phone, stand up, walk over and pick it up. And maybe at some point during that process, you'll realize what's happening and say, oh wait, I don't want to be going on my phone during this working session, and be able to stop yourself. Whereas if you have it right sitting next to you, you may be on your phone before you even realize it. Of course though, there's friction to create the friction. Like maybe you're sitting down to start your working session and you don't want to put your phone far away because you like going on your phone. I get it. So maybe this is a little bit more of an advanced method once you've already started that work to dismantle the bad habit, just to really set it in stone. The next thing we can do is use our good habits. Take a minute to think about the habits that are good for you, that you enjoy, and that cause you to do other good things. For example, maybe you're trying to break the habit of staying up late and playing on your phone before going to bed. Maybe when you go to the gym earlier in that day, you're able to fall asleep a lot easier and you feel a lot more tired and you go to bed earlier. So going to the gym can actually help you to break that habit of staying up late and scrolling on your phone. If you have a good habit that helps you avoid a bad habit in your life, prioritizing that good habit can be a really effective way to help dismantle the bad habit. In my experience, times of transition or times that feel like a fresh start are some of the easiest and most powerful times to break bad habits and initiate change. This could be a Monday, first of the month, New Year's, your birthday, maybe you graduated, you're moving, etc. Since you don't have the same situational or environmental cues as before, it's a lot easier to change your habits. That's not to say that you can't change habits any day of the year, you certainly can, but if you do have these transition periods coming up at some point in your life, it can be really helpful to put a little bit of thought into it in advance and really just take advantage of them. For me, New Year's is especially powerful, and if you're watching this real time, it is coming up. So this is your friendly reminder that we need to set the tone in our bodies to set ourselves up for success. Breaking habits is not easy, but it's an essential piece of becoming our best selves. And to do that, we need to reduce stress as much as possible, get enough quality sleep, so about 8 hours on a consistent schedule. Breaking habits can be really uncomfortable and it may take some time. We all have setbacks, bad days, and moments where we feel discouraged, but trust me, if you keep at it, you will get there eventually. If you want some accountability and support, leave a comment down below and let me know what habit you are trying to break. For me, it's going on my phone during my editing sessions for YouTube videos. I am so bad. So that's the one I'm gonna be working on right now. I'll link my building habits video down below if you're interested in checking that out. I also have a full playlist of videos on goals, motivation, discipline, becoming your best self. I'll link that down below. If you didn't hear, I'm doing 25 days of fitness on my channel. So I'm posting 12 long videos and 25 short videos in the month of December, all focused around us becoming the best versions of ourselves. If you're interested, I would love to have you come tag along. If you found this video helpful, the best way to support my channel is give this video a like and hit subscribe if you'd like to see more from me. And I will see you next time.